So, you want to create the next big Roblox game, but you run into one small problem. You don't have any good 3D models, so you go and search on how to create beautiful 3D models for your Roblox game. And you realize that you need to learn an entire new program, or just pay somebody some money to do it for you, but let's be real, we're all too broke for that. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to learn Blender from scratch in just a few easy steps. So let's get started. So first, what you want to obviously do is get Blender. I'm gonna link you the description of the official Blender page, in which you can download the newest Blender file. So you go onto the page and click download Blender. So at the time of recording, the latest version of the Blender is 5.1, and you can click if you don't want the latest version, but I don't know why. You should get the latest version obviously, but if you want any other versions, you click on all archived builds and select any other Blender file you want. So once you downloaded the Blender file, it should pop up in your downloads tab, and you should first unzip it, and then you should be able to open Blender. So once you download the Blender and open it, this is probably the first thing that you'll see, and we just do not need that, but just for the record, I'm using the Blender version 4.5, which is basically the same as any other. So first thing that you notice when you come into Blender is obviously the cube and the camera and the light, but decided that you cannot move with your usual WASD keys, and you need to press the scroll button. And yeah, press the scroll button, and once you press it, oh my god, yeah, you can move, yeah. But if you want to move like horizontally, you just press shift and hold down your scroll mouse wheel, and yeah, you'll be able to move. If you want obviously to scroll or to zoom in on something, just scroll in on the scroll wheel, or you can just press control or hold control, and then just with your middle mouse button you can just scroll in and out. So with that out of our way, now you know how to move. So first thing what you want to do is basically click on the cube and just delete it, because why not. And so you do not press the delete or the backspace, but you press X key. Press X, and you need to have the selected object, because if you press X and delete, nothing's gonna happen. So you press on the object you want to delete, of course, press on the cube, press X, and then delete. If you want to add something into the Blender layout, you would hold shift and then press A, and then you'll get this, or you can just go here and select add, and then basically just the same thing, but we'll use the shortcut shift A, because shortcuts are going to save you a lot of time, just believe me that. And you can add a lot of different stuff, like a cube we had at the beginning, but we can add like a plane, we can add a cylinder, we can add, I don't know, a cone, you can add basically everything. And so that is how we add objects into Blender layout. So press Ctrl A and add a cube. So for example, if you want to scale the object down, you would select it and press S, and then you will scale the whole object. And you can also scale it along the axis. So if you want to scale it along the Z axis or the X axis, you just press S and then X, and then the object will scale on the selected axis, and that's pretty nice. And yeah, if you want to move your object, you would press G and then basically move it. It works the same as the scale. You press G, and then if you want to scale, if you want to move the object on a specific axis, you would press first G and then press the axis you would want to move your object on. And you can press G and then shift. Let's say for example you don't want to move your object on the X axis, you'd press shift X, and then you will move it along the Z and the Y axis, but not on the X, and that works basically the same as the scaling. So let's say for example we don't want to scale it on the X, we would press first S and then Shift X, and then it will scale on the Z and Y axis. So that is how we scale and move the object, but we cannot really create anything good with that, and that's why we have an object mode in which we are right now, and we can select it and we can click on this, and then we'll see that we have quite a lot of modes. But just worry about the object and the edit mode. Don't care about any of these because we're not gonna use them, and neither do I. So yeah, so we'll look at the edit mode. So press it and then you'll see that we enter edit mode, and in edit mode you can basically do a lot more than in object mode. You can select each vertex or vertices, and you can basically move them or scale them as you did. Well, you cannot scale a vertex, but yeah, you can move them, you can do whatever you want with them, and you can select them before, let's say this edge, you want to move it out, and you can. So up here you can choose what you want to select. So let's say for example we want to move edges and we do not want to click on two vertices to move them like this, but you want to just select the edge between them, and we select this, or just click 2 on your keyboard and then just press the edge you want to move or scale, and then just move them like this. Pretty cool, right? And then we can select, we click on this, so we select a desired face, and then we can move the face, we can scale it down, we can scale it down, etc. So yeah, we can move and select which thing we want to select, vertices, edges, or just faces. So if you want to extrude something, so let's say for example we want to move this up, we can with G and Z, but we can also extrude it. If you want to extrude something, you would press E and then you would extrude it like this. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And if you want to inset something, well, let's say for example you want to model something like a window, you would go here for example and then just press I on your keyboard, and then the face will scale down, and then scale it to your desired location, and then you can extrude it in. So let's say for example we want to make a window, we just press E and then scale it in, and we have ourselves a nice little window, which is pretty nice. So let's say for example we want to model something that needs a little bit more geometry, so yeah, more faces and more vertices and more everything. So we would press Ctrl and R, and we have to be in edit mode, not in object mode, because if you do that in object mode, well, you'll see nothing. So yeah, just be in edit mode if you want to edit something, and be in object mode if you want to see what you did in edit mode. So yeah, go into edit mode, and then if you want to, you can add a lot of edges. And if you scroll on your scroll wheel, you will add more or less. So if you accidentally went or pressed Ctrl R and you don't want to place an edge, you would just simply press right click. So press it and undo that action. But if you have already done it, and you'll see you need to, if you want, you can move the faces. So yeah, if you don't want to move any faces, or just accidentally move any faces and you want them to be in the middle, just press right click and then they will position them in the middle. So let's say for example you don't want to do that, you just simply press Ctrl Z and then you will undo the action. But be careful. So let's say for example you cut something, which is a feature you can do. You can press K on your keyboard in edit mode, not in object mode of course, and then you would just press on an edge or a vertex and then just connect them, and then this is basically called cutting. And if you want to do the cutting, so basically we have not done the cutting, and if we press escape we'll go, we'll undo the cutting session, as I say it. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, a cutting session. Let's stick with that. So you would press K, and then let's, for example, we model the same thing. We're gonna do the same thing as we did before, and you want to do this, like finalize it and make it into an object. You would just press Enter, like yeah, and yeah, we have ourselves some more faces. And let's say, for example, I model this or cut this in, and I accidentally press Ctrl Z. And then if I want to do this again, yeah, I can do it manually, yeah, but what I can do is press Ctrl Shift Z, and it will add this. So if you went back too far with Ctrl Z, just press Ctrl Shift Z, and then you will get yourself back what you have done. Let's say, for example, you want to model a door. You would dissolve this edge, so you would press X and then dissolve edges. This will not remove the edge. Well, it did remove, but let's say, for example, I deleted it. Let's see, and yeah, it will delete basically a face, because there's basically no vertices or faces connecting, so you know this face does not exist. Yeah. So if you want to just remove this edge and not the whole face, we press X and then dissolve edges. And then now what we can do is, of course, make sure you're selecting faces. We press this, and then we will press I and inset it just a little bit like this. And then what we can do is scale this along the Y. Well, yeah, this is Y, and then we will just extrude this in, and then we have ourselves a nice little door. So let's say, for example, we want to model a little house or something. So first what we want to do is make a roof. So we would extrude this out with E, and then we would want to merge this. Well, merge the vertices into one vertex. So what we would want to do is basically select a face and then just press M, so we merge it, then merge at center, and there we have ourselves a pyramid type shaped roof. So yeah, and now we would want to model some, I don't know, windows, for example, and we would add, yeah, we can add this, we can add an edge loop, we Control R, and then what we can do is we can add another one, yeah, and then we would just select this, and we would inset it, and then we would extrude it. But we can also press Alt E and then extrude faces, or we can extrude faces along normals, which is the same thing. Extrude individual faces and then extrude manifold. These are the things you can try and select if the extrude faces is not what you wanted to do. So you modeled your first model. Nice job, man. Your first model. Be proud of yourself. And yeah, it's okay, but you know, it's still your first model. Pretty nice. But we will texture it and color it later. But first, what you want to make is a tree, because you know trees are good. And yeah. So we want to model a tree. What you want to do first is you can add a cylinder and try to, you know, extrude this and kind of move this, then rotate, and yeah, basically you can rotate with R, and, you know, rotate on each axis, but I kind of forgot that, my bad. But you know, if you do it like this and you scale it, it just does not work. Like, it's just too complicated. What you want to do is, let's say, yeah, we can use the cube for this, and then we just merge it. Well, you would first need to select everything, every single face in edit mode, because not in object mode, and press M, and then merge at center. And here is our vortex. It is this orange dot you see on your screen, which is very, very, very you know, tiny. But yeah, you need to be in object mode if you want to move it, but you know, you need to be in edit mode so you can basically edit it. So what you want to do is go to the front view. In this case mine is Y, and then we will go into this view. But yeah, go to the front view, and then what we want to do is extrude this vortex, and of course we would press E to do it. So extrude this, and you need to be in first select it, of course, and then we would need to be in edit mode, and then extrude a rough base shape of a tree, and you'll see what we'll do with this later. But let's say, for example, we want our tree to be like this, and we want to have some branches like this, and then we will extrude from this like this, yeah, like this. Right on here. And yeah, this is, you know, it's not a tree yet, but it will be. And once you model the stick like tree, what you want to go ahead and do is go into edit mode, select everything, and then merge, and merge by distance. So what this will do is basically merge any vertices that are basically almost together but are not. So what we want to do is, when we merge by distance all the vertices, we want to go here on object, and then convert, and then convert to a curve. So convert it, and then here in the, I don't know what is this, a side panel of whatever this is. So we would want to go on a data window, so press on this, and then we want to scroll a little bit down, and then if you have it like this, just press here on geometry, and then once you have it open, you will just go here on the depth, and then just increase it, and here we have ourselves a little tree. Pretty nice. And if you would not want to see this, you know, edges, you would just, or faces, you would just select everything in object mode, and then just right click, and then just shade smooth, or shade out of smooth, whatever. So we would now want some leaves, and we will create some low poly tree leaves, because you know Roblox is low poly. And what we want to do first, we'll just move that, well, we can have that here, but what we want to do is add a icosphere, or let's maybe add UV sphere. When you add something, you can go here in the left corner and click on this, and then you can, well, you can basically change how many faces and segments it has. As you see we are doing, we can make this to have a lot of faces, but you know, just do not increase it to like 100, because probably your PC is going to literally die. So do not attempt this, but you know, get an icosphere or an UV sphere, doesn't really matter. But yeah, we would remove it and scale it a little bit, and then you can kind of attach this, but you know, but tree does have like circular leaves. So what you want to go ahead and do is slide it, I don't know, up and down, wherever you want. You would select a face, and then you would go up here, and then you would use something which is called proportional editing. You would click on it, well, the shortcut is O, but you know, just click on it, and then what you can do is, you know, go and change your view, because why not. And then we can, well, first we need to zoom in, so this circle zooms in. We are deforming the object by selected faces. So if you select, you know, this amount of faces and then move them, you will deform them. So what we want to do is basically just grab, you know, some faces, move them around until you think it matches the shape of a tree leaves. Shade all the smooth, and then what we want to do is just move it on the tree, and then we'll kind of have a tree. We can scale it down, we can scale it here, we can duplicate it, rotate it, and duplicate some more, and then rotate it. Doesn't really matter. And yeah, we have ourselves a pretty cool tree. and you basically just duplicate that and use this as a rock. Honestly, if you want to make a rock, the best thing is what you want to do is add an icosphere and then just scale it down. Yeah, and then what you can do, go on knife tool here and then hold left click and then you'll see this bisect. Okay, so once you select the bisect tool, you would want to select everything in edit mode, because if you do not, you'll get just select everything. Trust me, select everything and then just cut through what you want to cut through, and then you'll see this thing pop up, bisect, and then what you want to do is click fill and then clear inner or outer depending on what you have cut, and then you will get this. And you fill because you don't want you want to fill it because this kind of looks weird, and so you would do this and then repeat this a couple of times, and then what you'll notice is that you'll gain a shape of a rock, and here we have ourselves a pretty cool rock. Then you can duplicate them, scale them down, and you can rotate them like this, and you can scale them, rotate them, and then you can join this. So yeah, if you want to merge some object together or join them together, you would select the desired object you want to join and then just press Ctrl and J, and then as you see, this is my whole object, and I can manipulate them like it is a whole object. Once you have modeled this, now it's time to texture it. So first what we want to do is, if we want to texture something, we would go here on the side panel again and click on here on the material tab. So click on it, and we want to create a new material, so create it, and then wait for it to load, and then go here on the base color and click on this yellow button or yellow dot, whatever it is. So once you click on the yellow button, you'll see that a lot of things pop up, and what we want is below the texture menu or whatever this is, you would click on this image texture. So click on it, and then you'll see that some settings will change, and and what we need now is a color palette. So a color palette is basically like a palette with colors. I'll link it down in the description. So of course, once you download it, you want to open it, so locate where it is and import it into Blender. So once you find it, import it into Blender, and it should look something like this, and we did not see it yet. And now what we want to do is, if you want to preview your colors, you would always want to have here on the, I don't know what this is, but just go up here and then select this viewport shading. So now you can see that we gain an ability to look at colors. And why this house is like all messed up with colors is because we did not unwrap it as we should. I'm going to show you how you unwrap things nicely and how you should do it. So what you want to go ahead and do is, let's say for example we want to model this rock, or let's say we start with a tree. So you want to select the material, the same material as we created earlier, if you haven't already. If you don't already have it on here, on selected, just select it, select it, make sure it has the same image texture and the color palette loaded. And once it has loaded, you would go here on UV editing. So go here. What you want to do is select the curve and just, as we did earlier, convert it. Do not convert it to a curve because it already is a curve. We want to convert it to a mesh. So once you converted it to a mesh, do not move it, just make sure it has this icon, not the curve icon. But once it has converted to a mesh, now it shall be as it is. And our color palette has just popped up as it should, which is pretty nice. So select the object and make sure it has the right material selected, and once it has, make sure to load the color palette and all that stuff. And now what you want to do is go into edit mode, select everything and press U. So press U and then you'll see this pop up, UV mapping, and what you want to do is press project from view. So press on it and then you'll see that, well, our base mesh had just projected on the color palette. So first what you want to do is, because we are in solid mode, or I don't know what this is called, but yeah, I'm just gonna call this solid mode. Just go to this material preview. Yeah, just go to the material preview mode and you will be able to see colors or textures. So now go to the color palette and make sure your mouse is on the color palette, or on the left side of your screen where the UV editing screen is open, and select everything with A. So select everything and then scale it down. As you see, well, you would first want to remove or unselect the proportional editing, because we kinda don't need it right now and it can mess up your model. So yeah, so what you saw is, if I scale down or up, you'll see that the colors change on our model, and that is good because we want that. So scale this down so you can still see it and move it, and then select it. The keys to move and scale are the same, so you will basically select everything with A and then scale with S, and then if you want you can rotate it, but we kinda don't need this, and you can move it with G. So you would scale this down approximately like here, and we have ourselves a pretty nice tree branch or whatever this is. But yeah, we have our base shape of a tree, and we have already textured, which is pretty nice if I say so myself. What you can do is, if you want to have a lot of different variants of the same color, what you can do is scale the object you are texturing to approximately the size of a cube of a color you want to have on the texture, like this, and you'll see that we have, or we gain, an what is this, a gradient texture. I think this is a gradient texture, but yeah, we gain a gradient texture. As you can see, our colors are different. If you want to have everything at the same color, you would just scale this all the way down, and you can zoom this in. So yeah, we have only one variant of a color, but if you want to have a lot of variants of the same color, you would just leave it like this. Or you can change the color. You can, I don't know, have this green, but trees aren't green, so yeah, do whatever you want to play with it. Now you move on to tree leaves. So select the tree leaf. Well, we can join this, because why not? So select this, shift on the other two objects, and then just click Ctrl and J, and now we have our one object. And once we joined all the leaves together, now we can select the same material as we did. We just click on this icon and select the material we already made earlier. So select everything in edit mode, make sure it's at edit mode, and what you want to go and do is press U and then project from view. So you project it, select everything here on the UV editing screen, select it, scale it down, and you can place it right over here like this, and we have ourselves a pretty nice looking tree. Now what we want to do is we want to texture the rock. It's kind of already textured, because rocks are gray, but yeah, we can texture it, because why not? So yeah, select the material we made earlier. It should be the same material as the tree. Go to the edit mode with tab, select everything, project from view, go here on the UV editing screen and select everything, and then scale it down, and then here we have ourselves a pretty nice looking rock. And yeah, we have just textured our rocks. And if we want to texture this house, what we want to do is, well, yeah, select the material, select everything, and project from view, because first we want to make it a base color. So let's say for example we want to have this house to be, I don't know what, a gray color like this. And now what we want to do is select the edges or select the faces. Yeah, select the faces you want the object to be the other color. So let's say for example we want this, or we want the windows to be a little bit of a bluish color. So we would select the windows, or what you think the windows are, and I would select this. And if you want to select the outer edges like this, you can press Ctrl and plus, which will select more of everything. Ctrl plus, what it does is select more. So it selects the nearest faces, which is because we selected, if we selected this, we'll get the outer edges of this. So we press Ctrl plus and we'll get the outer edges. But for example, if we select this outer edge, we'll get all of these faces because they are the nearest to the face we have selected. So if you press Ctrl plus, as you can see, we will select all of these faces which we do not want. If you want to select the nearest faces of a selected face, what you would do is press Ctrl plus. And if you want to unselect the nearest faces of a selected face or faces, you would press Ctrl minus. Once we have selected the desired faces, which you want to have a different color than a base color of the house, what we would do is drag from view like we did earlier. So we'll gain something like this. Just zoom out, because you can get them like this outside of the color palette. So really zoom out and select everything and then scale them all the way down like this, and we can make them have something like this. Let's say for example we want to have these faces be white color. What we want to do is select the desired faces we want to have the white color, and then we would press U and project from view and then scale it down and then just move on the white node. And here we have ourselves a pretty nice house-ish, I would say. And one more thing you need to be cautious about, or just check we have done this. Go here, here on the left side of the material preview or the basic previews or the whatever this is, I don't know. Just go here, select this drop down key and go on face orientation. Click on that, and if your model turns like this, rock turned, I don't know why, but yeah, it turned red. If anything turns red, this is a big problem and you would need to change it, because if we exported this as an FBX file or whatever file you will want to export this models or model as, it will deform it, and basically whatever is red, it will not appear in Roblox Studio. So let's say for example, and let's say it's like this, it's red. What you want to do is go to edit mode, select everything, press Alt N, so the normals tab or whatever this is, normals pops up, and what you want to do is flip it if it's all red. But if it's like some part of it like this, like let's say this edges, I don't know, flipped, I don't know why, you just kind of did something to make this happen. I don't know how you can do that, but yeah, what you want to go ahead and do is select the edges you want to flip and then press Alt N and then just flip them, and we'll have clean model. And once you have modeled, textured and checked for the face orientation, and you have seen that nothing is red on your model, now it's time to export it to Roblox Studio. So what you want to go and do is select the object you want to export, select them, and then go here on File and then Export, and export as FBX. Once you have found a map you want to store your assets at, you would go here and select here selected objects, click on that. Anything other does not really matter except for the scale. If you do not scale this down, oh my god, you're going to see something so big. Like just scale this just scale it to 0.02. Selected the map you want to store your assets and selected objects and set the scale to 0.02. Export your FBX. So once you are in Roblox Studio, here, I don't know, once you're in your game, what you want to go ahead and do is once you have saved your game and opened your asset manager, you would click on here on the bulk import, or click on it and then select your assets and then select your FBX file and then export it into Roblox. So you'll get this pop-up, which you can apply all, doesn't really matter, just I'll do apply all, and you would wait for this to load. You can close the menu and go here on the asset manager, and you should have this recently added. If you don't see this and you have accidentally clicked off of it and you are here at the starting point, you would just go here on meshes and you'll see your meshes that you have added recently. So select everything and then right click and then insert with location. And what this will do is load your model. You have just modeled, textured and imported your first models into Roblox Studio. And yeah, if you have any questions about this tutorial, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye.